Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound podcast. Quick picks video for UFC 317. Charles Oliveira taking on Ilia Topuria. And this is going to be a firecracker of a main event and a good pay-per-view this week. And if you've had a long week, this video is for you. If you just want your quick picks in and out, rapid fire style, this video is for you. Confident level traffic light system at the bottom. And as always, if you're enjoying the content here, hit that like and subscribe button as we break down this card in 15 minutes or less. And kicking things off in the early prelims, we have Jacoby Smith taking on Nico Price. And this should be one-way traffic. Jacoby Smith here, former national champion junior college wrestler, three-time All-American at Oklahoma State. And we know with Nico Price, a savvy veteran here in the UFC, he is very, very dangerous inside the first round. However, I think the wrestling and the hand speed is going to be too much here. Give me Jacoby. I think he gets the finish probably in the first round, maybe the second if he decides to wrestle in the first. But ultimately, either way here, I think he gets the knockout. Nico Price has taken too much damage over the course of his career. I think this fight's really just set up to give the fans a knockout or a finish early in the prelims here to kick things off and get this card started on a good note. Jacoby Smith, very confident pick here. And next up, we have Alvin Hines taking on Jonata Denise. And I've never been too high on Denise. Obviously a very decent kickboxer, but we've seen in the past with him that the one tell on his game is that he does get taken down. He does get controlled on the ground with wrestlers. And Hines, he does exactly that, man. Don't let the name fool you. Although he is named after a ketchup, this guy will come in and wrestle, which is why I'm not necessarily that confident in Denise. I do think he gets it done here as Hines is taking this one on short notice. Denise, like I said, I think he's going to be the more technical striker, the better kickboxer here. I could see him catching Hines as he comes in to sloppy takedowns and obviously taking this one on short notice. I think his gas tank won't be able to sustain wrestling pressure for 3 rounds. But give me Denise here. I think he probably finds the knockout at some point. Just not very confident as I've never been that high on Jonata Denise inside the UFC, especially with that poor takedown defense. And next up, we have the one fight that's been kind of thrown together here is Jackson McVeigh taking on Chris Ute. And when I look at Ute on tape here, he likes to get into the clinch. He likes to throw knees in the clinch. A guy fighting out of Chile. Also as well, when you look at him, he is very, very aggressive. I haven't seen too much of the ground game, but when it comes to Chris McVeigh, he's now obviously the guy that's had a little bit more of a notice on this fight than Ute. I think Ute stepping in on something like 3 days notice or maybe even less than that. McVeigh, when you look at his finishes or his victories, all of them come in the first round. He's been able to finish all of his opponents inside the first round. Both guys not fought a very high level of competition. Let me just get that out of the way. However, when you look at McVeigh, he's finishing all of his opponents inside early round 1. Slick submissions, very nice Darces and Anacondas. He's very, very big for the division at 6'4", very long, rangy arms and legs. So I do think that I could see him getting the finish here. The only thing I will say about Chris Ute as well is when he fought 2 of his opponents who were undefeated, 3-0 and 5-0, he took them to a decision. The other opponents he was able to finish. So I just think when there's a little bit of a step up in competition, Chris Ute hasn't necessarily had the much success. However, Jackson McVeigh has been able to get the finish early in every single round. So give me Jackson McVeigh here. Not very confident as both guys are very low level. This fight should be a banger for as long as it lasts. And next up, we have Terrence McKinney taking on Vyacheslav Borshev. And give me Terrence McKinney, man, here. I think he comes in here early and wrestles. I think he looks to get the fight to the ground and either look for the submission or the ground and pound. I'm going to say submission. I think he chokes him out. We've seen with Vyacheslav Borshev, the team alpha male striking coach, that he comes in to fights and people want to take him down because he's a very, very decent striker and kickboxer. So I think Terrence McKinney comes in. I think he shoots for the takedown. We've seen with Borshev that he does give up his back in the process of trying to get back to his feet. And I think McKinney's going to, whale big shots on him, try to land ground and pound to soften him up and ultimately find the rear naked choke. Medium level confidence in Terrence McKinney because we know if he doesn't get it done early, he usually gasses. But I think he's got enough in the tank here in the first round and a half here to take on Borshev and find the finish. And next up, we have Tracy Cortez taking on Viviane Araújo, and I think this fight is a complete coin flip. I'm going with Cortez in a slight lean here, not very confident. I think Viviane Araújo is definitely the better athlete. I think that she's fought the tougher level of competition. I think she has more pop in her hands, but Cortez is currently, I think it's 4-1 or 5-1 inside the UFC. Her only lone loss coming to Rose Namajunas on short notice. She just tends to find ways to make fights close. She doesn't stand out in any real skill set. I just believe here that she's going to bounce back after her loss here against Rose Namajunas, probably mix in some wrestling early, and really just kind of outland and out-volume Viviane. I just think that Viviane is live. If you're a bettor, I think this fight's very, very close on paper. I do think, like I said, that she packs a little bit more punch. She's fought the tougher level of competition, but I'm going to go with Tracy Cortez here just to get it done, to get back to winning ways. And next up, we have Haider Emil taking on Jose Delgado. Give me Haider Emil, man. I think he's going to absolutely dog Jose Delgado. He is the bigger dog in this matchup. And I have medium-level confidence in him here. I think he's going to walk his opponent down. Delgado is very light on his feet. He likes to bounce on the outside, and he relies on his power coming from stepping into his shots. But I think Emil's pressure, his forward movement, and his ability to mix in takedowns here is going to make it very difficult for Delgado to get the boxing and get the striking going. I think Haider Emil's ability to try to get this fight to the ground will zap on the gas tank of Delgado. And also, when you look at the level of competition that Jose Delgado has fought up until this point, he was able to knock out Conor Matthews. Who doesn't knock out Conor Matthews? And up until that point, that's who he's fought inside the UFC. So not necessarily the most skilled level of competition. I do think Jose Delgado is a decent fighter. I just think Haider Emil's got a little bit more dog in him. He had an impressive victory over William Gomes in his last fight, who's a much more skilled striker, much more proven, polished striker as well. And Haider Emil was able to land something like 140, 150 significant strikes in that fight, kept moving forward, kept putting the pressure and the pace on Gomes. Give me Haider Emil here, man. I think that he's the dog that can get it done here. He's got a little bit more dog, I think, than Jose Delgado anyway. So medium-level confidence, Haider Emil. And next up, we have Gregory Rodriguez taking on Jack Hermansson. And I think Gregory Rodriguez is going to absolutely mollywop the floor with Jack Hermansson here. Hermansson, a little bit older now for the division, 37, 38. Gregory Rodriguez as well. He is getting up there in age, but this man doesn't seem to slow down apart from after the first round. No, his pressure, his ability to land big shots, mix in takedowns, and really just put pressure on people early in fights. His aggression early in fights is something to behold, and I think that's all it's going to take here. I think that he's just going to run through Hermansson. Hermansson, to me, his only real skill set is his jab and his technical boxing, and also his ability on the ground. But Gregory Rodriguez has a much higher decorated black belt in terms of jiu-jitsu. He's the better wrestler as well, and on top of that, he carries more power in the hands. So I think this is just a matter of time here before Gregory Rodriguez finds the off switch here for Hermansson. I think he absolutely runs through him this week, and I'm very confident in Gregory Rodriguez, RoboCop, to get it done. And next up, we have Peyton Talbot taking on Felipe Lima. And give me Lima, man. I think that he's got more ways to win this fight. I think both guys are very skilled in the striking. I just think that Lima has the backup plan to be able to wrestle. He has a very nice back take. I think he could get back control against Peyton Talbot and ride out rounds for longer periods of this fight. Peyton Talbot, as we know, the one knock on him has been that he can't defend takedowns. He gets taken down against much lower level wrestlers. I think Lima's got enough wrestling here to be able to get this one to the ground, but also I think he can have success in the stand-up with the boxing. He has nice kicks. Peyton Talbot has the slight reach and height advantage here, but I think Lima gets on the inside, mixes in the striking, and also looks to take this fight to the floor. He'd be stupid not to. Medium level confidence here on Lima. And next up, we have Beneil Dariush taking on Renato Moicano. And I'm going with Beneil Dariush. I think this is a 50-50 fight. This one, both guys, it's tough to trust both guys, both 36 years old, both high level BJJ practitioners. I just trust Dariush's boxing a little bit more than Moicano. I think Moicano's kicks are decent. I think both guys could be chinny at this point. I think it could just be whoever lands first. Dariush is the betting underdog, so I'm going with him. I do think that Beneil Dariush's last two losses against Charles Oliveira and Arman Sarukian aren't bad losses. They're both high-level, top 3, top 2 guys in the division. Give me Dariush here to make sure he gets back in the win column to keep his job here. And I just think the boxing is just going to be enough. He's got enough in the hands. And obviously, I think he's probably the little bit better BJJ practitioner as well when it gets to the ground. Give me Dariush to get this one done. And next up, we have Brandon Royval taking on Joshua Van. And Joshua Van, man, always impressive. Stepping in on short notice here to replace Manel Karp. But I think this is a little bit too much too soon. Give me Brandon Royval. I think he gets it done here. He's had a full training camp to fight a guy in Manel Karp who has better hand speed, has better takedown defense, and is the much higher level fighter. And now he's fighting a guy in Joshua Van that I think, although is very skilled, does have good boxing, has shown really good takedown defense. But Royval is preparing for a guy that is very similar to Joshua Van, but better. So I just believe that him having the full camp here against a guy that ultimately has a better striking pedigree and better takedown defense, I think it's going to be fine for Royval. He can mix in the kicks. I think he can scramble very, very well. I think this one mostly plays out on the feet. I think the range here is going to be the key factor. Joshua Van can be a slow starter at times. I don't think the short notice is going to bother Van, as it's never bothered him in the past, but give me Royval here to get this one done, using the kicks, keeping it at range, and maybe even mixing in some wrestling on a full camp. And next up, the co-main event, we have Alexandre Pantoja, the current champion, taking on Kai Kara-France. Give me Pantoja. Only in a slight lean, though. I think people are going to be surprised at how close this fight is. Kai Kara-France, excellent takedown defense. He's the much cleaner striker. And I think he comes in here and makes this one a little bit more competitive than people think. Out of the two, I would say Kai Kara-France is probably the more well-rounded striker, that's for sure. Pantoja kind of comes at crazy angles. He'll throw kind of wild stuff. His takedowns entries aren't necessarily as clean as we would like. However, Pantoja just finds a way to outdog people. His cardio is fantastic as well. I do think Pantoja gets it done here. I'm just not as confident, I think, as most people are in this fight with Pantoja. But I think ultimately this one ends up going to the judges' scorecards. Give me Pantoja, though, to outdog Kai Kara-France to keep his belt. And next up in the main event of the evening, Ilia Topuria taking on Charles Oliveira, UFC 317 for the lightweight belt. Give me Ilia, man. This one sucks because I'm a huge Charles fan. Charles is my favorite fighter, but I think Topuria is just the real deal. I think he's going to be able to pressure Charles on the feet early, find the knockout like he's done against Max Holloway, Volkanovski. I think it's going to look very similar to that. Inside the first 2 rounds, he's going to get his reads, ultimately rip to the body, come upstairs, and maybe put Charles out. We've seen Charles hurt early on in fights. I think this is probably what's going to happen here, unfortunately, but I'm hoping Charles proves me wrong. The only way I think he can get it done is really with the kicks, like we saw against when Jai Herbert was able to head kick Topuria and maybe have a little bit of success there, or maybe snatch up a neck in a scramble. But other than that, I think Topuria is going to be able to find the knockout here. And that's what we have time for here on the Quick Picks video. If you're enjoying the content here on the Ground and Pound podcast, hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace!